for the last part. Kendrick fans and Drake fans, I hope y'all hear what I'm saying and take this. Because, and by the way, I think as well, Drake feels the same. I think Drake don't want K-Bots posting his kids. I think they don't want him. I know for a fact he don't enjoy when they're digging up fans that went to a concert in Australia and trying to claim that Drake sexually assaulted them and they're underage. That's weird. Same way, like I have confirmation, Kendrick
After the
Wake that ass up early in the morning. The breakfast.
But Wale.
I'm in the middle of the trenches.
Fire.
I'm in the whole thing. Love. Hey, Anyway, chat, I'm here.
If you have a 700 plus credit score, you qualify for Chase's new program where you could access up to $150,000 of cash.
Anyway, chat, I'm here. Y'all notice I didn't fuck up the streak. I planned it really meticulously. No streak fucking up. Court just started an hour ago. We're going to vibe for about, I'll give you like 15 minutes. Get everybody caught up. Because I know we didn't stream on the Academy yesterday when I went live from the D. Pause. No Diddy. Okay? What else? Oh, yeah, a couple other hip-hop topics we'll get to. But, oh, yeah, we got to finish what happened day 20, the evening session, because I dipped for that. There was no morning session today, so we're going to be tapped in, all right? All right. So, welcome, people. Welcome. I missed you, too. I hope you missed me. We're day 3 of our new streak to get to 30. If you guys don't know, I did cut stream a little bit early yesterday. I had to go watch a concert, and I went to go watch the Kendrick Lamar and SZA Grand National Stadium concert that happened at Ford's Field in Detroit. So if you don't know, I'm not in Detroit, so I had to go catch a plane and then go to the show. But nevertheless, I did. I gave a concert review about last night. I told you the concert started off strong, ended strong. There was some highlights, but I will be honest as well, there's some moments I feel the crowd was just standing around like, either what is this or just kind of like, all right, I don't know this song maybe, right? I stand corrected. I thought maybe it would be a 1-to-1 ratio. Maybe Kendrick fans was equal to the amount of SZA fans. It was very clear to me. Mostly, it felt like it was 2-to-1. So about 66% were like mainly Kendrick fans. And what I mean by his fans, and I have to address this, the people you see on Twitter tweeting, the K-bots, not one of them were there. Now, someone brought up a really interesting and valid point to me. Who brought this up to me? Actually, shout out to Ty. Ty brought this up to me. She said, the K-bots are kind of broke, but the reason why, because when I was looking around the crowd for the demographics, it was a lot of parents that came with their little kids. Little Timmies, little Janes or whatever. Like, it was just little boys and girls that were usually white. And for all the cultural shit you hear Kendrick talk about, the concert was pretty much very Caucasian, okay? Now, I said that's not a problem because when you get to stadium status, it's only a few rappers or a few people, period, I've seen do even an arena, and it's majority black. Rod Wave shit is majority black. I ain't gonna cap with you. Rod Wave shit. But I don't know how you turn that into a stadium because then you got to charge higher prices than there. Burna Boy was the only one. Burna Boy is the only person I see did a stadium, and I ain't gonna lie, man. Niggas was coming in their kufis and they looked like they had pots of jollof rice under their arm. That they had city feel lit. So I didn't really, I did point out that the demographics, for the people you see on Twitter arguing, none of them are there. Not one of them. Like, it's mostly young white kids. And, there's obviously black people there, duh. But if we're talking about the majority of the demographic, that's what I saw. But somebody did point out to me, well, it's because of the ticket prices. When you get to venues like stadiums, the ticket prices starts getting inflated. And not saying black people are broke, but it then becomes more attractive to a different demographic. You get what I'm saying? Like, for example, I can't wait to, did we ever look at YoungBoy's ticket prices? Well, even though that's not fair to look at his ticket prices now because he's in high demand. So with demand, prices go up. But I'd probably say look at Rod Wave. Look at Rod Wave average ticket price and then look at, look at a Drake's. And by the way, this is not shitting on nobody. I'm just making observations. You go to a Drake concert, it's mostly white people too. But I think people kind of knew that. And mostly women too, right? Thought people knew that. What? I was eating before, sorry. So the concert for me starts out very strong. Dot goes through, well, first of all, Mustard does a set. I thought he did a phenomenal set. He had all these people swag surfing in there. He's playing a great mix of, these teeny bop songs, but are super pop, but also like cultural songs, Sexy Red, Bow Bow, all of that. Did a really good job. Really good set. I think he ended it out with, I put the new Fonzies on the Jeep. That's obviously his song with Roddy Ricch. Pretty good song. Or that's a pretty good set. I didn't know how, I didn't look at set list before. But Kendrick actually is the first person to come out. Like the car comes up and Kendrick comes out and he goes off for 20 minutes. I'm not going to lie. Other than the end of the show, the beginning of the show is a highlight. He hits you with a bunch of songs. Even he does half of because the TV off song, right? The TV off song is 2 songs, or the beat changes in the middle of it. He does even the first part of that too. He does the Squabble Up. Reincarnated. Woke up, nigga got a broccoli, and that's another thing I gotta say. When people say, why do I go to the concert? Brother, this is my, again, just like, and I told Dave Free, because Dave Free was mad passionate. Like, I seen, his eyes was, almost watering. Not like he cried, but, he seemed passionate when he was talking to me about, some of the lines that may have been crossed. This my job, gang, okay? I don't know these niggas, and I don't take it that personal, okay? Ain't one of these niggas ever put hands on me. They have said shit about me, and y'all know I'm capable of saying shit about them. So I don't take it that personal. Them niggas clearly have taken very personal, and I could understand. But Drake has taken it personal too. And I'll get into those conversations. But, yeah, I went to the concert because think this is going to be one of the biggest and most historic concerts of our lifetime. So I was glad to go. So again, just reviewing it. Starts out hot. SZA comes on. Now, and I try to tell people that I'm biased. I'm a little biased with the SZA music. I don't know. I know 3 of her songs. Every time I meet a woman, they love SZA. Like, they love SZA. So me judging her parts of the show is probably biased because I was mostly looking at the crowd to see who's singing along. I didn't know the songs, right? Her first set, though, I seen good reaction to it. Then they basically just alternate. Kendrick comes back out again, does some more shit. But this time he does a little bit different because he's also like spacing it up, and it's not just high tempo. I love the first part because it was high tempo. It was a damn near sing along. It felt like you were in a party, right? But then he slows it down. He's kind of doing more cuts type records. He's doing different versions of records where it's like, you know, Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe feels like it's a build up and an interpolation with some other shit, but it's only meant for the performance. You've never heard this version before. I think the same with Swimming Pools probably. And even when they do Mad City, was it Mad City or? I think it's Mad City. Either that or Backstreet Freestyle. Like, it's not the normal. No, I think it's Mad City. It's a melody type of joint. Okay, so yeah, all that happens, and yeah, they kind of switch. And as I said, I'm watching. There is some dull moments, but there's always moments that everybody's like into it. So it's like a up and down type of thing. You know, I might also have unrealistic expectations. I just went to the Weeknd concert. I'm a huge Weeknd fan musically, even though I didn't know some of his songs, because some of the pop stuff, like, I don't know. But I listened to the entire stadium sing their hearts out for the entire show. And maybe that's my fault to think that's the sign of a really good concert, right? What I came away with is that I think Dot has new audience that don't know everything. There were certain pockets that turned up for certain shit. When he brought it back to Good Kid, Mad City, I could see that's the core fans. They've been rocking with him for 10 years. I could see a lot of white young kids, they're Gen Xers. When Gen X came on, that's when they're getting into it with their friends. They probably heard a lot of that from TikTok, whatever. You get what I'm saying? Then you had, of course, those international songs, like when he does stuff off Damn. That's his biggest album currently, right? And of course, the diss songs went up. You get what I'm saying? Euphoria, all of that. Yeah, I spoke with 2. I guess first of all, there was 2 ways I could have done this. I could have just went there, and I mean, people saw me, but I could have just not made an announcement where I was at. But nigga, I learned this from Kendrick. You got to pop out of the show, nigga. So of course, you know, I was recording from instantly. I wasn't even doing I could have done the 6ix9ine. Let's take the video, leave, and post it. Y'all know I could have did that. Y'all know I could have well aware did that. I could have wore a shiesty, everything. Nigga, I wore my chat nigga jacket, nothing bigger, all the chains. Nigga, I'm not hiding from nothing. You feel what I'm saying? My man got the suite. We in this bitch. I spoke to 2 TD people. I think they're both managers. One was Anthony Sala. He came over. Basically, they were both kind of speaking about the same thing, which I actually believe, you know, I think maybe the media has a little bit to play into this, but I think both of them, both Drake and Kendrick, have radicalized fans. his objection, he said, yo, some of this stuff on social media and some of the conversation, the shit is over. It's gone too far and getting too far. They're bringing up people's wives, people's kids, and people that are people who are not public figures. Say anything about Dot. It's whatever. But there's other people getting dragged into this that's not public figures. Now, I agreed. This battle is over. It's old. But what I can't agree with when it comes to them having that demeanor, both of y'all are complicit. And that's why I even suggested, well, I ain't saying y'all got to patch it up with Drake, because I don't think he want to patch it up with y'all neither. But y'all should probably try to because most of this is coming from charged up fan groups or audiences that are super fans of both people. So if y'all say y'all don't want people to talk about y'all wives and y'all this, well, y'all got to realize where this came from. Y'all called the man a pedophile. He said your son or Kendrick's son wasn't his. Then y'all said he got a daughter, which nobody found. Y'all brought it there first. Y'all can't get on the fans. Now, granted, I think what he's saying, and I agree with, the fans need to let this shit go. And he's talking about radical fans, just like still posting about what, still posting, I don't know, some of these guys' family members, but still posting them, still talking about them in whatever derogative light. That's the stuff that, they're like, because I guess, these people are probably seeing it and they're like, damn, I'm not a public figure. I can't defend myself. Makes sense. But it is both ways. And I tried to let them know it is both ways. This isn't something where it's only a certain group of people doing it. This is where the battle, or obviously the battle is over, this is where it's at. So if I said the divisiveness in hip hop, if that still bothers y'all, that should subside on both sides. We'll see. He comes into my suite, comes in Dolo. Me and him, we chopping it up. I get a drink. I was drinking. Me and him, we chopping it up. And it's the first time talking to him. Very reasonable guy. Let me say this. Very reasonable guy. His conversation went from there because, again, I told him, I said, yo, this is both ways. Yo, put it like this. I don't see nobody who doxes people more than K-Bots. And here's the thing. When Drake fans do things, they look at Drake to say he's almost orchestrating this. That's how people look at it when Kendrick fans do things. Oh, that's what y'all orchestrate. That's what I'm saying. Most of this shit is fan shit at this point. So cool. Me and him, we're chopping it up. And in, speaking about, obviously he's going forward, this and third. He also mentions, because at first, when he first walks up, he says, he says, bro, why did you let that kid come on your stream? He lied on me. And he was saying in a way like, yo, bro, you letting Drake run plays to put people on your stream. Now, I had to correct that, and I'm going to stand on this. I won't give up any names. But the person who came on to talk about botted streams, go find the kid, and y'all can find out. Again, I don't want to give up people's names. This was not from Aubrey Drake Graham. That was not from him. That was not from OVO. That's from people who in and around work with Dot. I'll say that. I'm not saying this as innuendo. I'm saying this as facts. Not saying these people work directly, but that's their orbit. That's very important to say. So I said to Mr. Saleh, right? Brother, what I've realized is that there's a lot of emotions. I don't have no emotions to this shit like this. I could still bump Euphoria. I don't give a fuck. I had the most successful year in hip hop that I've ever had. I don't care like that. They do. I could tell he was, I won't use that word, the E word. He was, let's say, passionate. And I said to him, I run a media outlet. When someone brings me that info, we are going to run it. Just like someone came to me and said, Drake scammed me. If I was operating as Drake's little tool or whatever, pawn, I wouldn't have Julian up here trying to explain how he felt top 5 and Drake scammed him out of millions. So the point is, what I told him is that that's how media works, brother. I get y'all are involved with this guy or back and forth, and you're viewing anything that comes out about you to think it's directed from there. But I could tell you it's not. And I've ran things that doesn't make Drake look in a good light. And Drake, he has to know by now, you know who Ack is. I remember telling that to Dave Free. I said, Dave Free, I've been doing this shit way before I covered y'all. I did it back to War in Chirac days, brother. So when you talk about how I view things or how I present things, this ain't nothing I started yesterday. I've been doing me the same way. Okay, so I talked to Mr. Sala, and he gave me some info. I think I can say all this shit. This shit shouldn't be private. So he told me, which, again, these are allegations, but I'll tell you what he told me. He said, Ack, here's the thing. The reason why even I had to come over here and holler at you, dog, that dude who said that shit, he's lying. I never paid for no botted things. I said, well, he sent a screenshot, whatever. I said, maybe he's lying. I don't know. But that's what the kid said. He said, well, that shit has got me in a federal lawsuit now. So what are you talking about? He said, they subpoenaed my phone for Drake's lawsuit. They took it. That is bothersome. Again, that ain't, again, that is something that probably is very annoying, but hey. Now, y'all know my demeanor towards Drake's lawsuit. I don't think it will wholly be successful at the end. But then I get a little bit more info. And again, this is why this is why you got to pop out and show niggas. Because this is where I get, Kendrick's team never talked to me. They stopped talking to me as soon as the bell starts. They stopped, there used to be some communication. The guy named Kojo, me and Kojo did mad business together. Kojo hasn't said a word to me in English language since it is what it is. So here's the thing. Oh, now I remember because I was having a conversation with them. And if you're hearing this, because when we were speaking directly, face to face, Mr. Dave Free, when I reference to 2022, and I said, because he said, why didn't you hit us up if you're coming today? And I said, brother, why would I hit y'all up if y'all haven't talked to me in years that y'all could line me up? I'd rather catch y'all as a surprise, even though that's not my energy. But I'd rather y'all not be prepared for me. Anyway, so he says, yo, remember in 2022 at the Mr. Morale tour, I was standing right next to you. Like, I showed you a lot of hospitality. I said, you did. He also said, which was a confusing thing, he said, I didn't even know how you got to there. And I was like, huh? I said, brother, back then, I didn't really go to concerts like that. I said, y'all invited me. And he was like, nah, we never invited you. No, my memory has recollected. I was invited, and you could do the homework on this. 2022 by Kojo. Me and Kojo have done many business together. #1 digital guy, #1 blogger. We've ran it up. Don't you worry. He works for y'all exclusively now. Ask him, did you give Act tickets to Kendrick's concert? He works for y'all now. So if you're wondering, I didn't remember in the moment because I'm like, no, it came from y'all. But he was working for y'all, and he gave me tickets that time, okay? Anyway, I'm still with Mr. Salem. So what he says to me And this is all news to me, and you got to take it with a grain of salt because, again, because we've seized communication, it's the first time I'm hearing these things. It's the first time I'm hearing that they took this guy's phone because now they're looking for these allegations of botting. I didn't know. They don't put this info out anywhere, so I could only find out when I pop up. Cool. Which, by the way, he claims he's never botted, so they will find that out. Also, he made a point that I actually agree with a bit. He said, I'm surprised Drake is doing the corny shit of suing because the same way he don't talk to his label, we don't talk to our label. We just pop up and turn our album in. So how the hell could we be in cahoots with UMG for anything? Okay. So we're continuing to talk because, again, no. This is when, what's the name of that song? Euphoria drops. And I told him, give me one, because we're sitting right next to each other. I said, give me 1 second, sir. I got to go watch Euphoria. I like Euphoria as a song. So I got to go turn to Euphoria. I did that. Got some more drinks. He comes back over. Now we're talking again. So he says to me, because I was like, yo, even with you being put into this battle, Drake posted you, right? Like, why are you upset if other people have mentioned you when the two main people dragged other people into it? Well, he said Drake posted me because Drake know me. Now, I don't know what that means. He said he know me. Apparently he's from Toronto too. I don't know. But then he said, here's the thing. He said, you should, and this is what I don't know. And I'm going to ask Drake. I'm like, Drake, is this true? He says, you should have heard this nigga Drake, what he was saying to us before we whipped his ass. This is what he told me. I said, what do you mean? Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I never really knew Drake speaking to anybody. Like, Drake has told me he hasn't spoken to Dot directly, but I didn't know about if he spoke to anybody else in and around Dot. Anthony Saleh, he confirms to me, yes, Drake was sending me voice notes talking crazy like he's a mob boss. That's what he says. He says Drake is saying to him, Drake is saying shit like, yo, I'm gonna done you, like just talking crazy like, yo, you niggas is washed, yo, you guys think you could finish me, crazy. All of a sudden, they're like, then we drop the bomb, right? Cool. Not like us here talking. All right. Then he gives me some more insight. And I ain't gonna lie to you. This was worth going to the concert for this insight. I live off insight like this. He says, that Pusha T shit is real. He says the only problem is people think that happened recently. That didn't happen recently. He said if it was recently, UMG would let Pusha say whatever he want to say or do what he want to do. Why? Right now, UMG and Drake, their relationship might be irreparably broken because of the lawsuit. They're going at it. So they're not trying to spare his feelings anymore. But you told me.
No offense, but if you're paying more than $30 a month on car insurance, you're getting ripped off. Everybody knows you can buy car insurance online, but did you know there's an Amazon for car insurance? That's right. An online marketplace that cuts out the middleman and gives you wholesale prices. You can save $1,500 per year on the same car insurance that you currently have. Guys, everybody is ditching their car insurance and buying from a marketplace instead. The reason why you're likely overpaying for car insurance is because 80% of what you pay goes to commissions for the insurance agent. 80%? But if you buy from the marketplace instead, you can cut out the middleman and put that 80% back into your pocket. This website has liability for just $18 per month. month and full coverage insurance for just $1 per day using the same big companies you already know. And here's what else you get when you buy from an online marketplace. No more spam calls from all hours of the day, no more hidden fees, and no more rising premiums. You can save up to $1,500 per year on this website, and it only takes 2 minutes to do. It's got an A+ from the Better Business Bureau and thousands of 5-star reviews on Trustpilot, so you know it's legit. I put a link to the website down below. So whatever button you see on this video, go ahead and click that and it'll take you to the website. And you're just gonna answer a couple questions like the model of your car and where you live. And that's it. Click the link and make sure you click the button at the end to get your quote. You could save up to $1,500 this year.
Not Like Us dropped last May. He said around June, July, because Drake supposedly approached UMG saying, yo, there's just a shooting at my house. These niggas got my house, which another thing, which again, you know, one point kind of counteracts the other. They say this shit going too far. I'm like, I could see how a nigga might think y'all went too far. Your cover art of the biggest song is his house with pedophilia pinpoints. But whatever. So he said Drake complained to UMG because remember there was a shooting at the crib. And UMG asked Kendrick's team, could you remove the cover art? We need you to take the cover art down. It got his house on it. We want you to take that down. From what I heard, they stood 10 toes down to say, if we do that, the whole song should come down. We're not changing shit. UMG, who clearly is in it for the bread, is like, keep that shit up. Nah, they ain't say that, but like, basically they just allowed it, right? Cool. However, while all of this is brewing, apparently that's when the Pusha T thing happens. And that's when UMG, who is really at that point on a rocky relationship with Drake, they're trying to salvage a relationship. They tell Pusha, hey, right now, you can't drop nothing dissing the guy. We're trying to work on our relationship with them. Could you change this? Could you change that? Now, I'll be honest. He didn't say Drake instructed them to do this. He said they were trying to save a relationship with Drake, the label. So they were being extra sensitive about things that could piss the guy who I guess he was gearing up to sue. Okay? All right, I'll speed through the story a little bit. Yeah, pretty good conversation with Anthony Sella. Seems like a pretty good dude, pretty smart. He's a business guy. Then Dave Free comes over. And Dave Free, he's like, yo, let me talk to you for a second, bro. We go talk. And we get into that we've met each other. It was whatever, cool. And his point subsequently ended at this, his point of interest or point of conversation subsequently ended with exactly what Anthony said. But at first he was kind of like, I felt like he was almost asking me like, yo, bro, like, why are you doing us like that? And I was just like, what do you mean? And I was asking him, I'm like, yo, you do understand I've been doing this for a long time. You understand my POV was going to lie a certain way. What do you mean? Get to a point where eventually he even says, like, bro, how much is he paying you for this? And I'm so stupid. In the moment, I'm thinking, wait, you think Drake paid me to come here? What the fuck? So I think I even said, nigga, nobody knows I'm coming here. Even Drake, nigga, what the fuck? Like, what, you think Drake would pay me to go to a concert? What the fuck? No, then he said, no. I'm like pay you for like all of this shit that you're saying. And I'm like, huh? He's like, bro, like, I want to know what you're getting from this. And that's who I think he's a smart businessman. But that's when I was just like, wait, they thought Drake bought me? I've never been more insulted in my life. Chad. Nevertheless, I told him, I said, brother, let me just be honest with you. Most of the people I've supported the most in hip-hop, they've never given me a dime, including Drake. That's not how it works. I say, I'm in media. And I said, this is the reason why you do your thing. You do a great job managing, whatever. I'm in media. My job is not to extort artists. We make like, and you know I'd be offended by when people say that, brother. Do I look broke? Like, nigga, when y'all see me, I'm dripping in diamonds. Like, I got the cars. What the fuck? Why do y'all think a rapper could buy me? I shit on rappers. Not saying I can shit on Dot or Drake. When it comes to nigga, 99% of these rappers don't got what I got. That is so insulting to me. I know how big I get. So I'm like, what?
We did hear about texts that she sent, saying that these escorts turned her on and she was thinking about them, et cetera, et cetera. At another point, Tenny kind of brought up, you said like you hadn't really done anything in the 3 years that you were with Diddy,
Obito, who you talking about? You said, why are your friends beefing? Who's my friends that are beefing? You talking about Trump and Elon?
And then she kind of brought up, but you had your dress line business. You also had a swimsuit business. You got to live in this beautiful house, kind of saying, your apartment. Apartment before was X many square feet, and now this house is double. You can raise your child in this. And she even brought up the fact that her dress line business was profitable. So she's like, in 3 years, you didn't really do nothing. You did do stuff. And Jane kind of said, well, it's here nor there, but I feel like I could have done a lot more, etc. Let me see what else. There was also just text messages between Jane and Diddy where she says, I wish you were here so we could play our videos, meaning the videos they recorded in the different hotel rooms. And then she showed us 2 instances of text messages where Diddy essentially says to Jane, and we saw kind of the same thing with Cassie, like we don't have to do any more of these hotel nights, or debauchery they called it. It can be just us. And okay, so then we saw this one text thread, again, more dirty text, but Jane tells Diddy that she feels sexiest when she's intoxicated off of wine. And Diddy responds, oh, I didn't know that. And they're kind of talking about hotel nights and what makes her feel the same. She feels sexiest when she's intoxicated off of wine. And okay,
so it looked like she was trying to tell Diddy, like, let's slow down with this drug shit, man. Like, let's slow down with all the consumption of this other stuff.
Diddy responds, oh, I didn't know that. And they're kind of talking about hotel nights and what makes her feel the sexiest. And he says, I didn't know that. You don't have to do Molly. And he also says something like, we don't have to get crazy for the rest of the year. And Jane says something like, it's okay with me, meaning like, I don't mind necessarily getting crazy. That's fine. And
If you ever seen Get 'Em to Greek with P. Diddy in it, my boy, he was fat, now he's skinny, Jonah Hill, I think that's his name, Jonah Hill. You ever seen that? If you haven't seen it, you need to watch it, bro. It explains everything that fucking Diddy be getting down on, bro. Come on, bro. But let's keep going.
Diddy says, what do you mean? And Jane testified that she took that whole thing as like an angry undertone when he said we don't have to go crazy for a year, almost kind of like a test. And that's my words, not hers, but that's how I kind of translated this. And Jane says, after he says, what do you mean? She said, I love that we have this freedom with one another. And Diddy says, you don't think I can do it, meaning not have a hotel night. And she says, I just know that there will be debauchery before the end of the year. I don't mind it. I just want some romance time. And
make
Diddy
love?
says, I'm going to make you
Hell
beg for
no.
debauchery. And then she gives like a laughing face and says, you know, okay, let's try it, but I love it all with you. And then Diddy texts back,
This is kind of confusing because, you know, at times, you know, she seemingly more vehemently told Diddy, I don't want to do this shit no more. But then Diddy would butter her up and she'd be like, oh, I'll do it. Now, you know, we keep bringing up this damn question. What is like manipulation versus what is you're doing this shit because you feel it's a way to keep a man?
No. And what I think is going on is that she knows everything that's going on. And this is a way she can manipulate Diddy into giving her whatever she needs. She gotta be doing that just for that reason right there. She wanna get whatever she needs. And the way she know how to get it is, let me act like I don't want to do it. Maybe it give me more money. I know what she doing, bro. It's all game. Keep going.
Like, are you being manipulated or are you making a choice?
I love the times that it's just me and you. And then again, we ended with just more text messages about hotel nights. And that was when she kind of said, I want him to play this video. And yeah, overall, it was just a day. It was an afternoon as well. So tomorrow, again, I mentioned there will be a short day. So I'll probably just do one update in the afternoon. But yeah, I think, yeah, that was pretty much it for the afternoon. All right, guys.
Okay, let me just play the logic that we get a little different perspective here. And we're going to hop into what happened.
We just wrapped up day 20 of the Diddy trial, and if the actual jury is anything like the unofficial jurors, those who are watching the trial with me in the viewing room, they are deeply conflicted as to what to take away from Jane, as to whether or not she's a victim of being trafficked. I am Joe Neerman.
Oh, wow. Remember, I said she was stronger than Cassie. Now, again, everything changes day by day, Chad, and that's why when you guys ask me questions and donations, I got to be honest with you, it's kind of like it's teetering back and forth.
AKA good logic. I'm a New York litigator who's practiced in this very courthouse in the Sun District of New York, and I come down to the trial for the purposes of breaking down for my audience right now. The opinions that I've heard about Jane are very divergent and very deeply felt, where it seems as if Jane, that many feel very definitively that she's a victim of being trafficked, and others say straight out that woman was not at all trafficked. Let me break down for you perhaps why that is, and it should lead us to conclude that the actual jury is likely to spend a great deal of time debating over this third charge of the 5 charges brought against him, which is 18 U.S.C. 1591, sex trafficking Jane. Now, Jane is a pseudonym for Diddy's girlfriend from the period of 2021 to 2024. And on direct testimony, where she spent 2.5 days going through excruciating detail about her developing relationship with Diddy from its early heyday when everything was a romantic whirlwind until a few months later when she engages in the first hotel night. And hotel night is what Cassie Ventura, the first of his known trafficking victims, testified about and called a freak-off. So Jane refers to those as hotel nights, and those are extended sexual marathons where the woman is performing with another male entertainer, male performer, porn star, whomever, while Diddy watches and directs and often videotapes the event. And those hotel nights that Jane walked us through, which you've all heard about, the baby oil and the so many fluids we can't even go into it. The question that ultimately comes down for Jane is similar to the question that we had with Cassie, which is, are they acting of their own free will, or are they acting because they're being forced, coerced, compelled by Diddy? Now, when Jane is testifying, she routinely refers to Diddy as my partner or my lover, and a lot of people take away from that she's choosing to please her partner, her lover, and hence she cannot be coerced or compelled. Whereas other people are saying no, that he's holding the money, that he's inducing her with drugs, that he's at one point or another blackmailed her near the end of the relationship, but certainly not at the end, that he ended up actually beating her.
Time out. Another thing I'm trying to figure out, When did Diddy get so addicted to fucking drugs, bro? This nigga sound like a fiend. Yeah, we're gonna stay in a hotel. Man, they got that nigga with the starter pack.
Her and choking her before having her engage in a hotel night a couple of hours later. And they look at that as clear signs of her being compelled. The other form of there being force or compulsion is in the form of fraud in the inducement. What do we mean by that? Well, she talked a lot about the fact that she would engage in a hotel night so that they would then afterwards go on a yacht or go on a cruise or go to this place or that place, and that never happened. And the state wants us to believe that he was intentionally trying to deceive her for the purpose of getting her to do it, and that he was basically acting fraudulently with her, and that should qualify as compulsive or a basis for the compulsory element in the charge of 18 U.S.C. 1591 sex trafficking. Now, we spent all day on cross-examination. Tenny Garagos for the defense is the one who was engaged in the cross, and I want you to just understand the dynamic here. When Tenny was doing the cross-examination of Cassie on day one, she conducted it like it was a People magazine interview. She ultimately got a little bit more aggressive. That is not the tone she took with Jane today. I wouldn't call it aggressive. I don't think that she was bullying the witness at any time today, but it was certainly more directed. And the nature of the questions that she was asking was designed to elicit a feel from the witness that she was completely okay with everything that was going on here. Now, for her part, the witness seemed very well composed, and there was pretty much a very boring day of cross-examination, far less entertaining than a lot of other days that we've had so far. And with one exception of a moment which everyone sat up in their chair and was like, whoa! And I'll get to that in a moment. But her demeanor has basically been very matter of fact. I'm talking about Jane's demeanor, that she seems to be in control and totally okay with answering questions and just saying that this is the way things went down. And the tone that she keeps and the messaging that she keeps giving as she's asked questions about the fact that she was involved in selecting some of the male entertainers, and we've heard a lot about these male entertainers, that it was all a matter of pleasing my partner, pleasing my lover, that she wasn't willfully going down this road, but that she was trying to please her partner, please her lover. She talked about that when she was questioned about the nature of her friendship or developing relationship on a friend level with some of these male performers, that she described Paul as having a warm energy, or described Don as being handsome. These are different performers who we heard a lot about during her 2.5 days of direct, and that she basically seemed to be comfortable with them, that she's texting Anton, who's a third one, and that she chose out Cabral, thought that he was attractive. And the idea that Tenny Garagos of the defense wants us to take away is that she's comfortable with these guys. She enjoys the sex with them. That one of the sexual encounters she called the most intense sexual experience of her life. Now, Jane responds to something like that he gave me a drug which I had, a form of Molly that I had never had before, and it served to make her sexual appetite incredibly heightened, and that's why she ended up feeling that way. Not that she had any personal desire specifically for any of these entertainers, and that her whole agenda throughout this entire time,
that bitch is lying.
Was to please her partner.
I ain't got no ad blocker, but
Hello, America.
Now, the interesting thing is, as I said, a lot of people take away from this that she was just putting up an act, and they believe what Jane is putting out there, that the reason that she's engaging in lengthy sexual text exchanges, which we spent hours today going text exchange by text exchange of the most, you're so sexy, blah, 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 you turn me on, blah, 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 what do you think about having a hotel night here, he's so hot, blah, 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 just on and on. So she was trying to explain, and she seems to be very calm in saying, I was giving my partner what he wanted. I was giving my lover the fantasy that he wanted. and trying to say that the justification for it was that she can tell that this is what he wanted. Now, there was a lot of people took away from this that makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense if you understand how this dynamic of this relationship is going. And that, yeah, she was, those are the parties who were saying she was trafficked. Others are saying you can't take no accountability for all these things he threw out there. There's got to be some sort of accountability. And it leads me to conclude that we're likely going to see a very conflicted jury, specifically over the third charge of the 5 charges brought against Diddy, the 18 U.S.C. 1591, sex trafficking as it relates to Jane. I think they're likely to be very conflicted with very strong opinions as to she was definitely trafficked or she was definitely not trafficked. But I really want to get into the terse exchange, which was the one exciting moment of testimony today. There was a point in time where one of the issues which would develop a fight between Jane and Diddy was about the fact that she felt she had been compartmented into this type of role of serving as his pleasure zone toy, and that she wanted to be a girlfriend, and that the only reason she was doing this whole type of performance was to spend quality time with him. And she would occasionally see things in gossip magazines or on Facebook or whatever, that she would get notifications about other girlfriends of his who were getting what she deemed to be quality time. And she defined quality time as she defined, you know, getting the good boyfriend as getting quality time and dining and shopping and things of that nature. Well, Tenny Garagos for the defense tried turning that into saying that she wanted money from him, that she wanted the gifts. And she started going into a fight that unfolded.
That's in Croatia, where he said he had sex on a yacht trip. So you said he lied to you, right? Jane says it hurt my feelings. When did, let me see. Diddy podcast Croatia. I think that's this.
Every day is.
I think it's this, huh?
We on set of my new podcast called Carisha Please. Carisha Please is my shit. It's
Your
my
shit.
show where we do things real, raw, and uncut.
Say, when she was with this nigga, bro, she had this nigga in check. Got this nigga almost going down broke. Hey, he took her to Chanel one time. She posted that shit everywhere. Nigga, I was even hating because this nigga spent so much money on this bitch. I'm like, ain't this Southside people? Like, this shit crazy, bro. Let's keep on.
We ain't sugarcoating shit, and we get to all the smoke. So today's guest, we got the one and only Mr. Billionaire Dick.
Is this Croatia, though?
Diddy.
You call me Billionaire Dick?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the one and only.
Yeah, the motherfucking one and only. What's up?
Before we get into the smoke, we gotta have a drink.
This interview is being brought to you by Deliante.
Oh, man. Diddy wasn't shit. Okay. So he had admitted that he had had sex on his yacht trip. Wow. It appears, and didn't I tell y'all, chat? Yo Miami and how he treated her fucked up his whole situation. He treated her very different than he treated the rest. I told you that from with Cassie. I think Cassie filed the lawsuit because she felt away. Diddy told me bitches couldn't talk to him like that. How she talking to him like that? Diddy told me you don't do shit like that for me. I did. Exactly.
Run the jacket a little too tight. Like,
Here we go.
I'm just not going for that.
So do you feel like with dating Diddy, like, was it a business relationship? Do you feel like it was beneficial for you?
I feel like it was beneficial for both of us. I think that, like, you know, I was able to come and be a brand ambassador for Deleon and take it to a whole nother level, because I feel like, I won't say nobody wasn't drinking Deleon, but
Nobody wasn't drinking Deleon.
but when I came, it was just like, it's a city or a summer, we drinking Deleon, we acting bad. So I feel like I was an asset. I honestly just feel like with Diddy, like, you know, I met him at a P party, and I don't know what his intentions was, but I don't know if it was like business or he really liked me, but I felt like, you know, when he got me, he really saw something in me, and that's why he was like, you know what, you got a big personality, like, you should do a podcast. Like, you know how to engage in conversations. Like, you know how to ask good questions. So I felt like, you know, I came into his world and I was able to, like, turn everything he had going on up a notch. Like, you know, he had Deleon, I was able to how the whole world drinking Deleon and putting in his songs. Like, I made it popular, you know?
Yeah.
And then with Revolt, I was able to come and make it the #1 podcast on Revolt.
Yeah.
So I felt like, you know, and then with him, it was like he was able to, you know, take my career to the next level. I did the Met Gala. I got ready with Vogue. Like, I wasn't going into the relationship thinking like, I want to get a purse. I want to go on private jets. I want to get diamonds. Like, I feel like I'm up under a mogul. I want to learn something. You know, like, I want to learn business. I want to learn how to, okay, you got a network. How can I get a network? Or, you know, you had a Sean John. How can I make Carisha Please the next Sean John? So I went into that relationship like on a like more of like, I want to become a mogul and I want to learn up under you. You know, no, I wasn't around at the time. I don't know.
Oh, hold on.
So he said.
Let me see if I get Yayo on the phone real quick. Hold on a sec. I gotta hold on. This is too good.
He was gonna sock out.
I try to get Yayo on the. I try to get Yayo on the phone.
Yeah,
just to get his reaction to this.
So I try to talk some sense in Puffhead because, you know, the other people that was around is just crash dummies. Whatever Puff say do, they do. Me, I'm thinking about the repercussions. So I said, no matter how tight me and Yayo is, you punch his man in the face, all of them niggas is getting up.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just me and him. So I said, yo, B, you can't do that, man. I said, yo, it's just me and you here. You said, what, you scared? You scared? I said, nah, I ain't scared. I said, I'm just telling you, like, that don't make no sense. So him and 50 talked. And then after about 10 minutes of them talking, he said, all right, come on, yo, let's go. And then Yayo came up, and me and him started talking. And he told Puff, yo, you know who you got with you? He was like, yeah, I know. Woo, woo. And that was the end of that. Because that was like a conversation and a beef.
Yeah. I mean, we all have bulletproof trucks. After Diddy and 50 had been doing some press for MTV, Diddy told her that he was having some problems with 50 and that I like guns, you know, in terms of dealing
well,
with it.
we like guns too. At that point, niggas would have got eradicated. It would, like, come on, bro. We have bulletproof trucks. Like, we like guns too. Like, when it come to 50 and us, we beef with the best of them. Like, like I never had a friendship with Diddy. I never had a friendship with not too many people in the industry. So that's all I know. But at that point, like, in my 20s at that time, and still to now, like, I'm just keeping it real. I don't want to say anything crazy because the internet has been indicting people lately. So I don't want to say that crazy. But, you know, like, I'm just like, that would have been crazy for him. I think Diddy was just talking that day. I think he was just talking. I think he just wanted to look.
Tony Yayo one of them.
Good, cuz, come on, bro. No way.
I remember, like, remember how 50 and them used to wear the bulletproof vests on stage?
Yeah.
And so forth? I remember being in G-Unit offices. This was about maybe 2004 or so. And, you know, I would show up with my camera. This was when I was a DJ and I was doing DVDs. And I remember Tony Yayo walks into G-Unit offices, takes off his jacket, and he had a bulletproof vest on, just walking around.
Right.
This is not a stage prop.
Right.
This is not for entertainment. Yayo was really wearing a vest.
Right. That's when they was beefing with Jimmy Henchman.
With Jimmy Henchman, because remember his Bentley got shot up.
Right.
So Yayo was like, oh, okay, he should have done that. We were ready for that.
Yeah. I believe it.
Yeah.
I believe it. Jimmy even told me that. Jimmy even said they not to be played with, Bonds. He said they not to be played with. And hearing that from him was a surprise to me. You know?
I mean, look, I know 50.
The new entertainer for lack of chemistry, you called Cabral, right? She said yes. And you said that you were high that night and felt freer because you let Cabral do things you usually didn't. She said yes. Then you wrote to Mr. Combs, I love you so much. She says yes. It was basically damn near like with all this Def Jam shit, his allegiance to Hove is very different. Charlemagne, he got fired by Jay-Z. Jay-Z done put belt to ass on everybody that we could talk about it. There's not, and Elliot Wilson, like, shit, he might as well be like, come on, we know, right? You can't name a media nigga besides me that don't, like, Jay-Z's I've never talked to him. I don't want to talk to him. I don't care to talk to him. But also, I do know his power. I don't want to go at him. So, like, when y'all be talking to Rock Nation shit, I'm like, just apply the pressure on everybody else, too. Because I feel like I'll be the only one, and y'all trying to get me to sacrifice myself. I'm not I ain't never been no martyr. Niggas don't like me anyway, so why would I die for y'all? You know what I mean? So it just is what it is. Could I? I don't know how long this is.
That's the first thing. This is popping in LA, bro. That's all I got.
These ICE protests over in Los Angeles and what the Trump administration is now doing to try to tackle that entire situation. I want to take a look at some of this footage over in that area, some aerial footage courtesy of our partners there at Fox 11 in Los Angeles. Take a look at this. President Trump deploying 2,000 California National Guard troops to LA over the objections of Governor Gavin Newsom after a second day of clashes between hundreds of protesters and federal immigration authorities in riot gear. Confrontations broke out on Saturday near Home Depot in the heavily Latino city of Paramount, which is just south of Los Angeles. That's where federal agents were staging at a Department of Homeland Security office nearby. Now, agents unleashed tear gas, flashbang explosives, and pepper balls, and protesters in turn hurled rocks and cement at Border Patrol vehicles. We want to continue this discussion even further by bringing onto the program now national security analyst, retired Marines intelligence officer, Hal Kemper. Hal, good to see you.
Good to see you, Carell.
All right, let's start with the basics, Hal. What can the National Guard do here in this situation? What was the thought process behind sending those troops?
Well, Carell, it's rather interesting. The National Guard has two statuses. They are a military force. Their their uniforms say U.S. Army or U.S. Air Force, depending on which component they're in. But day to day, they kind of work under the governor, more or less. The governor can call them up. He can use them for things like quelling civil unrest. He can actually even use them for law enforcement, although most states, they don't do that. But they could do that under state law if they're in state status, and it's what's called state active duty. What President Trump has done is he's called these National Guard troops up in federal status in what's called Title 10. That's a federal status like any other federal military member anywhere in the world. And he's using them, and that's where it's not quite clear, but he's bringing them up. He's going to not bring them up, actually in law. I think for the most part, they're actually activating National Guard troops in the Los Angeles area, but they will disperse to various locations to provide some sort of federal military support. And that's what's not clear. There was some language that was put out about quelling the riots or quelling the protests or doing something like that. That would be the president invoking the Insurrection Act. That is basically saying that state and local authorities have lost control of the situation, and the only way they can gain control, protect the public, is to declare the Insurrection Act, and he could do that. He has not done that. But what could they do short of that? Well, they historically speaking, they can do a lot. They were used in the 92 riots in Los Angeles. Federalized National Guard and the Marines. Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, has talked about possibly bringing up the Marines from Camp Pendleton, just south of Los Angeles. And they were used essentially to support and protect law enforcement in what they were doing, their mission. They weren't out there conducting law enforcement. That's a violation of the Posse Comitatus Act of 1878. But they were providing support, and they were protecting law enforcement in enforcing the law. That's legal. They also could do other federal to federal support in that they could protect all federal property. Even things like recruiting offices in strip malls or a post office, whatever, if it's federal property.
Why are we called Northern Tool and Equipment and not Northern Tool and Tomfoolery? Unlike the big box stores, you get the heavy-duty stuff you want without the lightweight stuff you don't. Northern Tool and Equipment. Get serious.
You could conceivably bring in federal troops to act as security at that federal property. It's not very cost effective, but it can be done. So there are a lot of things they can do without invoking the Insurrection Act, but frankly, they're under federal status, and those troops are just the same as any other U.S. Army troop. They're under federal status, and they're going to basically go out there and do whatever a federal troop can or cannot do.
I want to talk about the separations of powers because I just said that the president did deploy this, but Governor Gavin Newsom doesn't necessarily agree with this entire tactic. So how does this go between federal and state level when it comes to what these troops are going to be able to accomplish?
Well, if they're under state status, if they're on state active duty under the governor, they could actually go out there theoretically and enforce laws. They could use them like law enforcement. They could actually go out there and arrest people. They could detain them. They could put them in prison. They could do a lot of things. Under federal status, they cannot. Posse Comitatus Act says that federal troops cannot be used in a law enforcement role, and that's been used for a very long time. However, there are a number of things they can do. For example, the U.S. Navy routinely patrols areas trying to interdict illegal shipments of drugs into the U.S. at sea. Now, the U.S. Navy, like the U.S. Army, has no law enforcement authority because of the Posse Comitatus Act. However, they'll throw a few Coast Guardsmen on board who do have federal law enforcement authority, and the ship effectively becomes a Coast Guard vessel, albeit controlled by the Navy. It's a naval vessel. It's not like they changed out the crew, but they have these Coast Guard members on board, and the Coast Guard members can actually, stop ships at sea. They could search the ships looking for drugs. They could arrest people. They could seize the illegal cargo, if you will. They can do a lot of things like that.
I'm sorry, Steve. I'm going to have to end this shit. Got some technical difficulties with my microphone. I know y'all hear the feedback. Let me figure that out. Holla. Maybe that's what it is. Yup.